I'm about to go trim some trees, and it's a beautiful day out. And so I need, where did it go? I need my orange wedge, my chainsaw, and this little axe, so I can kind of pound the wedge into the back. And I'm sharpening this axe because I'll need it, to trim up the corners where the chainsaw meets. Supposedly, if you don't trim up the corner where the cut meets, then it has the opportunity to kind of hinge in a funky way and run a split up the tree, and it becomes dangerous. So sharpening the axe to chip away at the corners. And I hadn't known this before because I didn't really think about sharpening an axe. But you use one of these things, and there's an abrasive side and a finer side. And so you spit onto it, and then put it up kind of at an angle. And these are nice because this blade is not straight, so you've got to kind of go in a circular motion, both sides. Try to keep the same angle, and then flip it. Do the same thing. Spit on this side, and then run back over it, and you can hear the difference. This is really polishing up the edge, and that is as much as I know about sharpening an axe. I will see you when I'm cutting down a tree. That worked pretty well. I guess you can't really see what I did. Yeah, right there. So that cleared up some view. And I'll show you what the view looks like now. And I'm gonna keep trimming trees as I go. I don't want to go crazy with it, but it does make a big difference with a couple of them. I think I need to sharpen my chainsaw heard it's pretty sketchy if you have a dullish chainsaw. Okay. So, let's see if I can. I guess it doesn't look as good as it does in person, but that's what I cleared. It looks much better in person, you gotta believe me. So, today, this is what was done. And this is the footer. I'm gonna take you out of this thing. So this is the footer. So there was a bunch of rebar brought by, and I guess tomorrow or the day after, they're gonna pour this footer. And then the foundation walls will go up. So I think what's gonna happen is that footer goes in first. So they pour concrete into this thing. So they'll put rebar in, they'll pour the concrete. And then that on top of this gravel is like a really hard base, really solid base to pour the walls. And after they pour the walls, they're gonna put blue foam in here, about 2 inches thick, and that'll act like an insulator for the floor. And then they'll put either Uponor or PEX tubing in a pattern all across the floor. And what that's for is I'm gonna run hot water through a hose in the floor. That hot water will heat the floor up, and it'll make it so I can spend time down in the basement. I guess this place gets pretty cold, really cold. So it'll be nice to have that warm basement floor. Down here in the basement, I'm planning on having kind of food storage, batteries, a hot water tank, maybe a workbench, something like that. So after the tubing comes the rebar framing, and that'll give strength to the concrete, which is the concrete's poured on top. And these holes, I might have to move these, but these holes represent where I want a drain hole to be. And if water gets in here, you know, I can always sweep it into that hole, and it will exit out of this. That hole in the concrete, that hole will have kind of a slope near and around it. That'll help guide the water into there. The other reason for this hole, or for this, you know, channel, is for putting a French drain around the perimeter. So I think this is going to be a really water resistant foundation. It's got this big thick rock that water can make its way through, and it's going to have this French drain that if water gets into the sides, it will get carried out by a tube and then exit out of this way. And in addition to that, I'm also going to have this backfilled with sand, and that will be so that water from the roof can kind of filter down and get into this gravel and then exit. So I think it's going to be great, and I will show you what that looks like next.